Welcome to Q&A Selling Online, with answers to questions about creating an online empire, promoting products, or building a brand. Your host, private label and e-commerce entrepreneur, Quinn Amorm.
Welcome back to the show, my friends. Today we have with us the co-founder and the CEO of Right Hook Digital, an e-commerce growth and performance marketing agency managing millions in ad spend for their clients across Australia and the USA. He is obsessed with over-delivering wow. He leads his agency of 50 plus people while sharing his team's learnings and insights, educating brand owners on how to scale profitably and sustainably. These are the things I'm always talking about. You always have to be profitable. He is here with us today. Dee Deng. Dee, how's it going?
It's very, very good to be here. Thank you for having me, my man.
It's a pleasure to have you here. You know, for those listening, me and Dee had, not me and Dee, just me. I had some issues here starting up. I had the blue screen of death today on my computer. So
Oh, you hate that?
man, that's like the worst thing that can ever happen to you. Like that,
And it's completely outside of your control.
and you know what's shocking, Dee, is like when you get the blue screen, there's the so-called blue screen of death. There's a smiley face, right?
It always is.
Like okay, we are rebooting now, and that we're 40% done, and there's a smiley face. I'm like, what are you so happy about?
Exactly. Apple has the beach ball. It's like, yo, man, do not do this to me, man. You're just mocking me at this point.
Yeah, unbelievable. Okay, so now that we're over that, you're the marketing guy, and you are physically in Australia right now?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Okay. And how did you get into marketing?
Well, funny story. I mean, I cut my teeth in my 20s, actually in TV, and so cut my teeth in TV. This was back when I was living in Singapore. Wall Street crash happened. I worked predominantly reality television with American productions in Singapore. Wall Street crash happened, which affected Singapore as well, and all the work dried up. So one of my buddies called me. He's like, "Hey, man, the girls are pretty good looking here in Australia." I went, "Okay, well, whatever." And lo and behold, two or 3 months later, I sold all my stuff, moved over to Australia.
That's all you needed.
Right, exactly. Like as a 20-something-year-old, like early 20s. Moved over to Australia, ended up working in a camera rental place because I couldn't find any freelance gigs. So it was just as a technician trying to get into servicing cameras and also selling cameras at the same time, and got really sick of my job. Like I was getting paid next to nothing. It was an entry-level job, new country, and first read 4-hour work week back then when it was like hot, right?
Yeah.
And went, you know what? I can do this. I can do this business thing. And no clue about business, no clue about like starting an app or anything like that. This was 2012, 2013. Airbnb and the whole share economy thing was really popping off. And that's when I went, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to start my first tech startup. Genius idea. No tech, no business acumen. Jumped in straight, got accepted into an incubator. No investors. Incubator gave me like 10, 20 G's, something like that, which, disappears in a moment with legal fees and whatever else you got to do. And that's when I really had to get immersed into growth marketing. So, growthhackers.org, going to as many forums as possible, Neil Patel. And that's really what broke me in because I was spending my own dollar. And back then I wasn't married just yet, but I was already living with my now wife and her kid. So sole breadwinner, had to really figure shit out. And that's how I got into the marketing game. Fast forward to 2016, that startup left me broke as broke can be. Literally like $200 left in my bank account. And then 2017 started the agency, and then now we're 50-something people. So it's a wild ride of marketing. Marketing saw me through the whole damn thing.
Man, you know what? It's funny that most people that are successful today, when you get into talking with them, something similar always happened. There is something that almost broke most of us, and I say most of us because that happened to me too. And I actually not just once, but several times. I just started a longer time ago, so the cycle repeats itself. But for somebody that then in 2017, from 16 to 17, from broke to starting your agency. Now, you were actually voted Australia's fastest growing companies in 2019, 2020 by the Australian Financial Review, right?
Yes, sir.
Is there a ranking of like top 50, top 100? How did that go?
Yeah, so it's the top. If I'm not wrong, it's like the top 100 fastest growing companies, and we were somewhere in the 50s in there. What was really crazy was I was looking at the rest of the list, and you go on Crunchbase and you see them all super capitalized and they got all the funding and all that. So it's nice to go in there knowing, hey, guess what? We built this off of our own back. We don't have any external capital. And the really interesting thing was we started as absolute no framework, no network, which was scary at the time, right? No one knows you. You don't have a name just yet. And also too, there's no framework. We never started, my co-founder Scott and I, we never started an agency before, and we did not come from that world. We were never employed at an agency either, which really helped us. I mean, looking back now and even the way that we operate now gives us a really, I guess for us, it's a normal perspective, but I guess speaking to other agency owners in the time so far, for them, it's a fresh perspective. It's like, oh, wait, you're doing it this way? It's like, yeah, that's the only way we know how to do it. Whereas for them, that's like, no, this is the traditional way of how you should do things at an agency, for example.
Yeah, the traditional way, it's not always the right way, right? It's just the traditional way. And just because something has been like done like that for so many years doesn't mean that it shouldn't change or it doesn't need change. Like sometimes it doesn't. Other times, man, here's one example. You mentioned how you're married and you have now kids. So as before I was a father, I used to think my kids are not getting iPhones. They're not getting smartphones. They're not getting tablets. I want them to be physically active. I want them to go outside, play with dirt, get dirty. And okay, so guess what happens? 2020 happens, 2019 happens, and every kid has a cell phone. And if mine don't, they are socially outcasted. They are.
Yeah.
So it's so hard. So what I thought was the right thing, it may not be the right thing, because when 2030 comes, I need my kids to be, socially active and know what the tech is at the time. So it's just so unexpected. I don't know what else.
Completely agree. Like the dynamics are always changing, and you think, with the best intentions in your heart, you go, wait a second, tech, I've seen what it does to other kids. They turn into zombies. They're just mindless zombies where, they might be crying or throwing a fit. I've seen so many parents do exactly the same thing. It's like shove an iPad in front of them. All of a sudden, everything shuts down. No more fit, no more tantrum. Everything seems fine. So I did the same thing within my circles. I know parents that go, no, but I want them to be active and I don't want them to be like, zombies and digital zombies. But there is that other dynamic, which is at school, they might actually get made fun of because they don't have that device and they can't talk to the other kids and all this other stuff. So it's always interesting looking at that dynamic and figuring out how intentions might go one way and then like outcome might be completely something you don't expect.
Exactly. So same thing happens in business too. So what we think is the norm one day doesn't fit to our needs in the future. And the same thing true, because when I started online and was doing my stuff, there was no such thing as YouTube didn't exist, right? There was no such thing as just accessing or asking Google something because some guru would go and answer and give you for free what you wanted to know. So for the longest time, I had the mentality that I had to go source things for myself. I had to do the research myself. And then I would fail or not. I had nothing to compare it with. So I figured my way was the only way. And now I know that there's the kid that started yesterday or figure of speech, but started, a couple of days ago. They know things that I didn't know. So that's why it's so smart for a marketer to have new ideas, new minds, new set of eyes that just, get new things done because times change and they change so quickly.
Absolutely. I've recently been getting really nerdy into, it sounds like a funny way to say it, but getting really nerdy into Zen Buddhism. And, I was born and raised Catholic. My grandma just got baptized like 3 weeks ago. She was always Buddhist. And it's funny, like we kind of did a tag team. She swapped over to the Catholic side, and I'm learning more about Zen Buddhism. But the reason why I bring that up is because what drew me into Zen Buddhism is the primary concept that caught my eye of the beginner mind. I'm reading this book right now called Zen Mind, Beginner Mind. And what you just said just there really reminds me of that, where the beginner mind, children learn so fast because they don't have any preconceived notions. Yes. And that really excites me. Like what really excited me, especially now running a 50-person team, I have to think like I have to rewire my brain a little bit compared to back when we were 2 people and could do whatever the hell we wanted, you know? Yeah. So having this beginner mind really allows me to look at life, look at problems, regardless of whether it is our own business or a client's business or a pal's business or even life in general at home, to go, wait a second, like if I looked at this as with a beginner mind, now the world of possibilities open up, because it's not just this is the only way. It's more so how would I do this if I did this the first time? Super fun.
Yeah.
Very liberating.
And talking about your team of 50, how hard or how easy is it to manage a team of 50? Because I'm guessing right now, or even before now, a lot of them would have been remote or still are remote, right? So is it hard? Is it easy? Or do your operating procedures kind of help out with that, or how does it go?
Great question, man. It's so funny going through this journey in a fairly compressed amount of time. Well, it feels like for me anyway. When, so many people talk about like, go listen to, go watch Simon Sinek, or go read Finding Your Why, or go read these books by Jim Collins and whatever. And, I read them back when I had my first tech startup. And you read that and you go, yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to prepare myself for this, that, and the other. But it wasn't timely reading at the time, right? So coming back to it now, so much of what that material encompasses it clicks so much stronger now. And the neurons are connecting in such a greater way now. What I mean by that is, for me, it's funny. On paper, it's Dee leads a 50-person team. But in reality, it's more like Dee leads a team of 7 who leads a team of 50 people, so that's all I really have to focus on, is making sure that I then have the ability to lead and motivate, not even motivate, just keep engaged and keep grooming and growing my team, my core team of 7, and making sure that they can grow their core teams of 7. And that's literally the chess game that I'm playing on a day-to-day, month-to-month basis.
Gotcha. Yeah. So and that is the perfect answer, because my team is not 50. My team is at 15 and growing super fast. But what I have directly below me is just 1. But unfortunately, because it's just 1, I have a lot of time to dedicate. So I do deal with all 15 or 16 with the manager all the time, because I like doing what I do and I want to be involved still, but I want to get to the point where I have those 7 like you, right? The top 7.
It's super fun. It's very challenging. It gives me a very compelling reason to wake up every morning and close off the week strong and start the next week off right, and make sure that it's all the growing up stuff that I thought I would not like. The corporate-y kind of, you need to have critical numbers for every quarter. You need to have really crucial conversations with people about, hey, you didn't hit those numbers. Let's talk about like the friendliness and that whole casual nature. What I thought would have to disappear. I thought it was binary, right? You either had this friendly family type culture or you had this corporate culture. But we've really found our way to having this place where it is, I would say, the one of our core values is openness, no bullshit. Nice. So we've really managed to live up to that, to the point where it's almost like family. You can have that argument, but at the end of the day, you're still family. So much in the same way, we have really frank conversations with the team, but it flows both ways. My team can call me out on my BS as much as I can call them out on their BS. And the understanding is mutual, that at the end of the day, we just want the best result on the court. Off the court, we can go for beers and we can goof around and all that stuff. But when we're on the court, game time's game time. And, the fact that we managed to keep that culture, I'm super proud of.
So, Dee, tell me something. Before we go any further into your Right Hook agency, the 2016 failure, I want to know kind of what was your biggest lesson from it. But I want to also ask you, was it, because I did check your LinkedIn and everything, was it Higher Hive?
It was Higher Hive, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So to give everyone listening and watching a bit of context, I went into Higher Hive with a co-founder who, back when I was bartending, he was a DJ booker. So, but he did tech and he understood that world because, you know, he told me he was coding, and me not knowing any tech, I didn't know how to verify whether he knew how to code or not. I could just see code and I could see the output, and I'm like, okay, this guy knows how to put a website together. And so the context here being, it was meant to be a peer-to-peer rental platform, much like Airbnb. Imagine Uber, but for film cameras or video cameras. Right? Okay,
got it.
The biggest learning that I had was never, ever put all your eggs into one basket, as much as that's what the tech crunch and that's what all the Bay Area startup advice is, you know, like if you got to go all in or go big or go home or any of those things. Because I was just hanging out for investors. I was always trying to go, you know what, if we hit this milestone, I'll be ready to pitch to him. I mean, I got to pitch Guy Kawasaki in person in San Francisco. I got to pitch like Peter Goldwyn of MGM, like Metro Goldwyn Mayer. Yeah. One of the Goldwyns, I got to pitch him. And they all seemed promising because no one really tells you no. They tell you maybe kind of come back later. So you keep that hope going, and that false hope can really kill you. It almost killed me. I mean, the day that I went broke, it was because a really large bill, I think it was a tax bill or something, got pulled out of my bank account. And I saw the notification show up on my banking app. I remember the moment really, really, I mean, I can actually like get myself into a nervous state right now. We were right after dinner. We were watching TV at home, the family, and the notification came up, and it said, I forget how much money came out of my account, and I had something like $200 or 90. I still have the screenshot somewhere because I was like, I never want to feel this moment ever again. And I went, oh my God, I can't make rent next week. So I looked left to my wife. My face just felt like it went white. I looked left to my wife, and I had this split second question of, do I tell them or do I not? Until today, I haven't told my wife, and she doesn't watch these podcasts like most of the time. So I don't think she still knows the story. Wow. But, yeah, the biggest learning is don't put all the eggs in one basket, and whatever it is, sales cures most things. It's a very strong Band-Aid. Let's put it that way.
Yes, man. I guess so. Your relationship is then in that case a little bit like mine, because my wife knows in basic terms what I do, and she knows it has to do with online and computers and selling things, but that's pretty much it. And I mean, it would be so hard to you know, be the man that is supporting the family, get that notification, and will I tell him, or I'll make it okay? This will be fine, and man, I wonder what I would do in that situation. That must be like so stressful.
Totally. And the crazy thing is, I ask myself that question all the time. If I was back in that situation again, I wonder what I would do. And the answer is, I don't know. Like the only reason why I made the choice to not tell her was a gut check. There was not much mental stuff going on at the time. It was just going, okay, well, if I tell them what's going to happen, you know, in a split second, it was more like, if I tell them what's going to happen, she's going to get stressed. We're all going to get worried. We're all going to have to talk about it. Nothing good's going to come out of this. You know, we can't really move the needle. So I'm just going to try to figure out next week. If I can't, I'll prepare myself and then I'll tell her. Fortunately, the week after, because I was working on Higher Hive and because I was still grinding away at creating contacts and making sure I was acquiring as many users as possible, I knew a whole bunch of people that were freelancers or had cameras or were not working. So what I did was I just did something that I thought I would never have to do. This was 2015, 2016, right? I literally went on Googled a whole bunch of local businesses, you know, typical thing to do. And I just cold called a bunch of people and going, hey, you know, we're a new media company. We're doing video packages. If you need any type of video done, we can do it for, you know, a really large discounted amount. And luckily, because I knew all these freelancers, I crafted a deal where I would get all the money first and I would only have to pay them after the gig was done. So I could float the cash in between.
Beautiful.
Dude, 2 weeks, 40 G's. I never thought it was possible.
Yes. Isn't it incredible when you get put in those situations, your brain is forced to come up with a solution. And you got to do what you got to do. This is so incredible because I've been there, and I would go to bed and I would keep it to myself too. Not, I wouldn't be telling everybody, even family, what was deeply going in, but I would go to bed and I would stay there and think, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this and this and this. And then something always comes up, man. It's your brain is so powerful when you want to really put it to work. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, how does the saying go? The most dangerous time to fight a tiger is when it's injured.
Mm. Yes. Oh yeah. Because now they're fighting for their life. They're not.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I want to ask you now about Right Hook. Now, Right Hook is the successful marketing agency. And this name, where did it come from? Did it have any influence of Gary Vee's book, Jab, 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 Right Hook?
That's the most common question. That's the most common question that we get. And also because I used to fight for a living for a while when I was younger. That's the other question I get from my pals that know me. In fact, it wasn't even that. It was, so my co-founder, before we decided to work together, he just consulted his wife and said, okay, I need to come up with a cool name. What do you think it is? And they just went on there. They had a whiteboard at home and they just started like writing a whole bunch of stuff. And then his wife, Liz just went, oh, that Right Hook one makes a ton of sense. The right hook, the right angle, right hook, like the boxing thing. So let's just go there. And we just went with that. And we had a few other names in contention, but the Right Hook one eventually came to the forefront.
Nice. That's actually a pretty cool name, and it can be used in different settings. So anyway, what you said there earlier was you used to fight for a living.
Yeah, so Thai boxing. I was really fat when I was younger.
Yeah.
So almost 100 kilos of just fat. Just couldn't do a pull up, couldn't do 10 push ups, and got like heaving when I was walking up the stairs. 100 kilos, like 220 pounds, something like that.
Maybe 240.
Yeah. So just not fit whatsoever, and met this dude who taught Thai boxing. So I thought, I'll give this a whirl. It'd be nice to know how to defend myself and not be a pansy, and just get beat down if someone ever had to try to mug me or anything. So did that for a while. That was fun, but I figured I was never going to be in the top even 20%. And that's where you make actual career money. Outside of that, you're fighting for beer money.
Oh wow!
Of the day, really.
Oh wow!
And you get beat up too, so it's not that like the risk reward. Not that the ROI really doesn't justify itself.
Yes, yeah, it's a crazy ROI. Oh man, yeah, I did karate Shotokan for 5 years, and
nice.
I wasn't fighting for a living. I was just doing it because it was fun, and I wanted the exercise. I did soccer 3 times a week, and then karate 3 times a week. So basically, 6 days a week, I had stuff to do.
So awesome.
Yeah.
That stuff never leaves you, huh? You just got to get it back on the bike. You might be a bit rusty, but man, it never leaves you.
It does. You know what? We used to do, man, this is not entrepreneurial, but anyway, what the kata is, where we used to do, It's almost like a karate dance. I still remember those. And it's been 15 years since the last time I practiced karate Shotokan, and I can still do it, right? Of course, I'm not in the same shape, not even close, but it does stick with us. Like you said, it's like riding a bike. After a while, you get back on it, but get back on the seat.
Absolutely.
All right, so back to the marketing. Right Hook, you guys now do, you don't work just with Australia, you work with the US, anywhere, because it is the online, you can work with anybody. And is this just Facebook ads, Google ads? Do you guys get into SEO, or is it all of the above?
So we leave the SEO component aside largely, just because that isn't a we focus very much on the more direct response stuff. So we do run traffic. Facebook, Instagram is still the sexy thing. So That's what most people come to us for. We do have spend on Snapchat as well as TikTok now. So we're in there as well. Who knows what's going to happen to TikTok in the next few weeks or months. So traffic, we've got that. We also run the back end. That's where the nice money gets made. Messenger, SMS, email. We've got that part down pat as well. And we do landers every once in a while. So some of our clients, it just makes sense to put their users and their potential customers through a bit of a funnel. So we've got landing page builds as a capability as well. And we're starting to flirt with the influencer game. That's a very fun space to be in. I like the fact that we're a second mover. We're not a first mover because we get to learn so much from the way other e-commerce agencies and other brands and other agencies have used the e-commerce, the agency model. The influencer model. So we're trying to come in and be a bit smarter on that too.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I tried it on both stages, like you said, being first mover and second mover. And one of the things that caught us by surprise when we started doing it, ahead of the wave is what we would call it, was that when Instagram was working so well with us, and for the longest time at the beginning, everything was real, right? Followers were real.
Yes.
Before the multi-million follower accounts start showing up for somebody that nobody really knows, we would actually believe that. So, okay, here's an account with 3 million, and we wouldn't even go as far as like we do now. Go see, is there really engagement? Are they real followers? Are they all bots? And when it first started happening, we fell for it a few times. And then, there's a few grand that we got to spend, not just for paying the influencer, but because now there's products that we got to ship to them. There's the shipping of the product that then you're marketing, hoping that this is going to work. And there's zero engagement. Oh man. Yeah. So of course now it's a lot different because now there's even tools that tell you, right? But at the beginning, we didn't have those tools. We didn't even know we needed them. That's the issue, because we didn't know we needed them. So that's one of the things. And it did work. It still works very well if you do get the right ones. And most of our business comes from third-party platforms like Amazon, right? Amazon or Walmart. So we can direct the influencer traffic to Amazon. Nice. So where do you, for example, if you get those influencers, you're dealing mostly with e-commerce sites like Shopify, WooCommerce, or BigCommerce, that kind of stuff. Yep. And so you're sending the influencer traffic to those pages or to a lander first?
Yeah, it really depends, brand to brand, client to client, where the destination URL ends up being. A really cool trick that one of my buddies that him and I, we nerd out a fair bit. One of the really cool ones is, because usually the conventional wisdom is send them to the product page, right? Make the path to transaction as short as possible. So if the influencer is talking about product A, send them straight to the product page for product A. Apply the code. If you have a plugin that applies the code immediately, do that, and then just get people to buy straight up. Now, my buddy went, you know what? I ran a little test. I put the traffic up, and I sent people to the home page or to the collections page, and I'm like, oh, really? That kind of goes against conventional wisdom, circling back to what we were talking about, thinking the traditional way is the way, right? Yeah. And so he went, because if people have the discount code works site-wide. It's not only for one product, so let people browse. So let them come into my collections page, let them have a look at a few things. The product A is usually a flagship hero product anyway. So let people just add other things to the cart. Who knows, you might actually get lift in sales. And he was like, I actually got lift in sales. So give it a try. So for some of our clients, we actually send them straight to the collection page or just to the home page. So they can actually browse a little bit more because you can retarget later as well.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool because you already have the social proof because they went there because an influencer told them. So you already you've been verified. So that's a neat idea. But of course, everybody should test because
absolutely
not everything.
Let the data
exactly.
Let the data talk to you because you know what, and that's the cool thing I guess about running an agency is the fact that we get not only the depth of experience and the depth of data, but the width of it as well. So across different verticals, different demographics, different angles within one demographic, we might find that, like for example, dresses. right? For anyone that's not in the game, you would go, well, dresses are dresses or dresses. But then if you have the angle of, we sell dresses for events only. So if you're going out to like to someone's quinces, or you're going out to a bat mitzvah or something like that, that's when you come to our store. But you can switch the angle really, really quickly and go, these are just fun dresses for the beach or for something else. So we get to really learn very quickly and at scale. And that's what drew me, in fact, and my co-founder and I into this agency game in the first place. Is the learnings here they come hard and they come fast, and you get to learn so much.
You know what? You just reminded me of a strategy that we had. It wasn't with dresses, and I'll even reveal what the product is here. But it was something that until, 2019, I didn't know these existed. They were micro fridges to store skincare products.
I've seen those.
Yes. So people will store this tiny little foot-long fridge, and they will store skincare in there. So what we thought is we can launch these, and it's not just going to be for skincare. So we launched the exact same product for skincare. Then we launched the exact same one for the fishermen that needs to have live bait, and they can keep them in there while they're there.
Oh, nice.
Then we would also have it for the vehicles. So it will plug in 12 volt. So you can have it in your car, so you could keep your Coca-Cola cold. And then the exact same one again, we would market it for the guy that stays in a cubicle and he has limited space to have either his cold drinks or to warm up his food, because they also warm up. And there you go. Now we have one SKU and you sell it to everybody.
Absolutely. And that's that's what I really love about marketing. Or one of the things I love about marketing, the fact that angles play such an important element because of the fact that we're dealing with humans, and it has to resonate with, a lot of the time, how does the saying go? To a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But so the way we describe something really just forms the perception of what that thing becomes. And that really is the power of marketing, especially when you have a great product to go alongside that. It's just it just makes so much sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's where you put the customer's imagination, because you can get that customer imagining themselves depending on whatever pictures and copy that you have on the exact same product. It's so cool. It's fascinating that you can do these things, right? Basically, I hate this word, but it's almost like a little bit of manipulation, right? There's a reason why I hate using that word, because it can be seen as something negative, but in reality, you are giving somebody a different perspective. It's not manipulating, but you're giving them the option to open their mind. And
Absolutely. I'm super at peace with the term manipulation, I guess, predominantly because of the fact that if you apply storytelling, the concept of storytelling into that word of manipulation, that's all stories really are. If you go into the movies, guess what? You're getting manipulated for 90 minutes voluntarily. It makes you like you're watching people that you really don't have in your life, and you cry for them, you laugh for them, you get excited for them, you get scared for them. And all the filmmaker is doing is taking you on that journey, and you're voluntarily getting manipulated. But And I know exactly what you mean. There definitely is. There are a lot of slime balls since the documentation of history ever started.
Yes,
that really made the word manipulation into something that is horrible, and definitely feeling it, being on the receiving end sucks. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Gotcha. So tell me something, Dee. What is the e-commerce revenue engine?
So the e-commerce revenue engine is something that it's so funny how few brand owners we speak to understand that core engine, which effectively, I'm sure you know it as well, right? Traffic multiplied by conversions, multiplied by the order value, and then you add the lifetime value piece, and that brings you your economic revenue driver for online sales. Mm-hmm. The really weird thing is, I think some people, where the disconnect comes is that some people cannot piece the offline world with the online world. What I mean by that is, Any store, physical or otherwise, needs traffic. That's why stores open up in malls. Malls bring the foot traffic already there. So you need that traffic part. Now, it's great if you have traffic, but and all that traffic walks into your storefront and they're browsing around, they're touching your clothes, they're putting it up in front of their mirrors and stuff like that. But no one walks to the cashier to cash out. You have zero conversions. So all that traffic turns into nothing. So you need to figure out your conversions. Now, great if you have conversions. Next thing we need to look at is the order value. Now, if you have super high-end Louboutin shoes on your shelves, and then you have these small little mirror, candles, and everyone's buying the candles for $2, then your average order value is going to be around $2 instead of the, $700 or I don't know how much Louboutins cost. Then you have that there. Now, the next question becomes how many of these customers come back next Sunday, next Saturday, or next time they come back. So that becomes your engine. If you can identify where the bottlenecks are, it gives you, instead of going, I need to change my logo. You know how many people have you? I'm sure you've spoken to so many of those. The website looks like crap. After I change the website, it's going to be a whole new, brand new world. Sales are going to flood in. Or I need to refresh my Instagram feed because it looks so crap. And I'm like, don't get me wrong. Branding has a very strong place in the success of a business, of course, especially the longevity of a business. Don't get me wrong. SEO has a certain play in there as well. But if you focus on these things, that gets cash through the door that allows you to invest in the long tail SEO, invest in the long tail branding. Your brand is only as good as long as your business lasts.
That's true. Yeah. Your business is over. It doesn't matter what the brand is. And yeah, one of the things you mentioned, it made me laugh. It was the logo. Because a lot of people think my logo is my brand. So I need a beautiful logo and I need to, and often I heard stories of people that are paying thousands and thousands of dollars into going to masterminds to get this logo done. And I'm like, have you looked at Nike? It's a check mark, right? It's a check mark. Everybody knows it. And it's not because the logo is something special. It's because they made it special. Everybody knows it, right? And I like to have a beautiful logo too, but I'm not going to go and spend weeks debating about this. And here you go. Sometimes you start a site and the logo is the name of the brand, right? But and we're just starting. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that, two things I found. One, I found that a phenomenon and this is just anecdotal data. I don't have any kind of empirical data whatsoever, but the one thing that I found is, as a behavior, a lot of new founders obsess over the logo because that's the number one thing that they have absolute control over their business. It's like, if I focus on the logo, I have control, and people love feeling in control. It calms us down. Uncertainty scares us as humans. That's just the way things are. So if I obsess over this logo, the world is like, the sky is the limit because I can control this. I can say, I don't like it, tweak this, that, and the other. And then the second part is, I really want to echo what you said. It makes so much sense. I look at logos like it sounds really horrible to say, but I look at logos like swappable children. So here's what I mean, right? One, there's no law or rule or guide that says that you can't rebrand and change your logo at any time you want. But also, two, exactly like what you said, you can't really choose how your kid shows up in the world, right? Your kid just shows up. But you can control how your kid grows up and deals with life and becomes a good adult. It's what you infuse into your brand, infuse into your business that gives your logo meaning, that gives your kid's life meaning. So it's so much more than just, I have a kick-ass logo. My business is going to go berserk. Let's bring this to Shark Tank.
Yes, I'll just sell the idea with the logo. Yeah, I love that analogy of the kid. The way he comes, we can't influence that, but then the way he grows, or the way people get to know the brand, that we can influence. And then I want to go back and touch on something. When we talked about the e-commerce revenue engine, you mentioned something that a lot of people either forget or don't even know about when they're starting out with e-commerce, and that's the lifetime value. The lifetime value of a customer. A lot of people neglect that. And when it comes to, for example, selling on Amazon, there's a lot of new sellers that start overnight, and that's one of the things that is never measured for a new seller is what's the lifetime value of this customer. Because if you have subscribe and save, I have no problem. And we go and we measure these stats, right? So if this customer will have on average 5 purchases with their subscribe and save. So we measure the value of that purchase. And I know that on my first one, I broke even, or I may have lost a little bit, but with the average of the 5 purchases, I'm going to profit on the next 4. So, amazing. Right? Let my return of ad spend, or on Amazon, it's called the ACOS, the advertising cost of sales. Let it go a little bit high because I'm capturing, right? Let's say 7% of them go into subscribe and save. Get those 7, man. Break even. Let it break even, right?
Because absolutely, and isn't that such a liberating feeling, though? Because if your return on ad spend or if your ACOS goes too low, you're not really sweating it because you're going, no, wait a second, I know my threshold. Because I know some people are exactly the same. They go, oh my God, my cost of sales is going like berserk. It's like, yeah, but if you knew your average lifetime value, in other words, it's not just, for this pocket of customers. It's no. You're looking at, you're either projecting out because you're a new store or you've been around for at least a year. You've got 12 months of data there. You can then look back and go, listen, man, my average lifetime value is like $600. If my average lifetime value is $600 per customer because it's averaged out, then guess what? If I come in and I know then my threshold for breaking even isn't $20 anymore. I can actually spend 40. I can spend 60.
Yeah.
Because they're coming back. That's so liberating because then you don't have to stress about that stuff. And now your advertising has so much more firepower.
Exactly. That's why I love to focus on telling people, know your numbers. And knowing your numbers is not just knowing that you made $50, but it cost you 40. That's not it. You need to know all the numbers that in the future, this 7% or 11% of these people will buy again. And if you know that, you know how much you can spend to acquire more and more customers. And there's nothing wrong of breaking even, or often we lose money often when we're launching something new. It's just part of the launch, and you want to gain customers and, man, lifetime value.
Absolutely. And for those listening or watching and they want to get nerdy about that and do a bit more research, I highly recommend. This is what launched me onto my journey of LTV. I recommend researching the RFM model, recency, frequency, monetary value. The RFM model, if you do a deep enough search on YouTube, I forget if it's unlisted, and I forget his last name. You guys have to forgive me, but his first name's Peter. He's a professor at Harvard or Stanford in data science, and I'm pretty sure that his firm got hired by Nike in 2017, 2018 to do all the data science for Nike. RFM model, right? Recency, frequency, monetary value. That gives you that extra level. It really helps you level up and understand who are the most recent buyers, who are the most frequent buyers, and which of those are worth the highest monetary value. That becomes your super VIP list. Yeah. And then you have your super green, your amber, your red. So much power in that.
Yes. I'm going to tell you a short little story that there was this tool that was meant for Amazon sellers. And the tool was created to send messages, internal messages, to everybody that purchased your product on Amazon. That was the original reason to create this tool. And you could use it. Let's say the person bought something today. You can say, send my message 2 days after delivery and ask them how it was and all that stuff. So that was how the tool was created. Now, we were using the tool for something different because on the back end of the tool, you could also see how many times that customer has bought from you in the past, and it would all store there. So we were using this tool only for the reason of going to see how many times that customer has bought from us. And then we would add it together. And there was customers on Amazon that we know that since 2017, this person has spent over $3,000 of buying over and over our products. So what we would do is we don't have that person's real email. So what we would do is we would actually send them a gift because we have their address. And here you go. This is a gift for being a loyal customer. And we would send it to their home, right? And if this person is already a fan of your products, you know how much that affects when you actually send them something that they didn't ask for. And they will tell all their friends because they already love you. You know that.
Absolutely.
So it's, by the way, that tool, just to give him some recognition here. It's called Feedback Whiz. Feedback Whiz, the CEO, I had him here. It's Ensign Who, and I told him that too. That's what I use. I didn't use this tool for any of the messaging. It was just for that reason. So.
Nice. That's awesome.
So Dee, tell me something. Right Hook Digital and is one of the places where people can go to find you. I have your links here. So you have Facebook, GrowGreat.tv. That's your Facebook group. Is that a group? Or a page?
GrowGreat.tv is a little podcast experiment, or rather a live video / podcast experiment that I kicked off at the start of COVID. Just figuring out that it's at that point of uncertainty, we just needed to hear from as many people in business as possible and as many experienced people as possible. So GrowGreat TV is that experiment. We've had 20 episodes there, and had to take a bit of a pause. I just wanted to regroup and understand, learn from people like yourself. We've done a ton of podcasts to understand how to tweak the model better, but I've had a ton of fun doing that on GrowGreat.tv.
Nice. So I'll have all those on the show notes. Where else do you think people should go and look for you? And where can I find the Right Hook Digital?
So righthookdigital.com is the website. And if you go to facebook.com/righthookdigital, that's where we are. We drop a fair bit of content out fairly regularly. And we've also got what was called the eCommerce Heavyweights Facebook group. Now it's called the Growth and Greatness eCommerce Facebook group as well. Just a whole bunch of e-commerce, like a community of e-commerce people jamming, really sharing. And it's one of those places where no question is too silly. You can just come in and really ask any question, get the support of everyone else. And we watch one another grow, which really excites me, right? Like stuff that I wish I had when I was first starting out. Because you sometimes feel like the world is judging you and the world is like, can't wait to pounce on you. Yeah. And we can build a community like that. It's super fun. Stuff that like what you're doing, right? It's really talking about failures and really being able to be okay with that and have other people support you. And if anyone wants to get in touch with me personally, Instagram DM is a really great place. At Real Dose of D is my handle.
Real Dose of D. There you go. So guys, I'll have all these show notes I'll have all these links on the show notes so you can check them out, and check out Real Dose of D on Instagram, and same thing on Twitter, right? You have the same hashtag on Twitter.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Dee, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you here. We have to stay on touch. We'll connect on social media as well. And
yes,
pleasure having you here, man.
Pleasure being on it, man. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All the best.